Just a little reminder, everything I speak about in this video will be in the description with a URL. So, if you want to download anything I'm talking about or visit the webpage, all in the description. Anyway, I'll start with, so where do you start if you want to get into cybersecurity? I think the first thing everybody that's trying to get into cybersecurity or hacking should look at is Kali Linux. It's built on Debian Linux, and it's designed for digital forensics and penetration testing. It's essentially, imagine Windows, but it's strictly made for hacking and breaking into stuff. It's a really cool operating system. That's the first thing I'd highly recommend anyone to have a look at. The second thing I'd recommend anyone trying to get into penetration testing to look at is Python. It's used for scripting and for small but needed projects. An example of one would be I had to overwrite a buffer which was 1,000 characters long. So instead of pressing a button on my keyboard 1,000 times, I just created a quick script and copy and pasted it in. Very basic, but saved me quite a lot of time. The next thing I'd advise everyone who's trying to get to cybersecurity to learn is the basics of cross-site scripting and SQL injections. You don't need to know a lot to start off with, but understand what they are and what they do. It's quite important if you're going to go and do later things that I'm going to recommend. For example, hack the box. You need to know a little bit of cross-site scripting there. But that's about it. If you're going to download Kali Linux, by the way, I'd highly recommend you do it in a virtual machine, which you'd also run a thing called metasploitable off. It's intentionally vulnerable, and it's a virtual machine. So you run it on your computer and you try and break into it, and you're supposed to break into it because it's intentionally vulnerable. There you go. There's also, if you enjoy metasploitable, I'd highly recommend you look at pentestersLab.com. There's more machines like metasploitable, but it's really in-depth and they're very specific, and it really helps you get a full grasp of how much you don't know, which is really important to know. Anyway, next I'd recommend, if you're more of a visual learner and you learn a lot better off videos and following, Pluralsight. It does cost for a subscription, but if you're willing to make the most out of it and put as many hours as you in, like, per month, you might make it worth at the end. But yeah. After that, I'm going to recommend Hack the Box here, but it requires you to know quite a lot of web-based things to just generate an invite code. So you need to know a little bit before you can get to that. So I'd make sure you go through the steps before. By the way, this is in no order. I'd also recommend doing Hack the Box retired machine write-ups. Just have a look at them, maybe try and understand how they work. I'd also recommend you maybe copy the steps that somebody else took in a write-up and just kind of understand, because you learn a lot of cool tools along the way, which is really important for other boxes. After that, I was going to recommend hackers.gg, which they have web, pwnables, crypto, reverse engineering, and like a lot more on their site, which are all just online, accessible, quick, easy to like boot up, get it working. The number one thing I could recommend off my personal list of things to get into cybersecurity would be just read. If you find a book that really interests you, and it's about hacking or cybersecurity or anything, I'd highly recommend you read it. I'm currently reading the Shell Coder's Handbook, which is kind of assembly code stuff. But there's plenty of other books out there. There's one book that is really in your face and basically tells you how to hack a company from start to finish. It's called How to Hack Like a Porn Star. I forgot the author's name. But yeah, that should be in the description too. If you're into pwnables, which you'd have found out from hackers.gg, and yeah, I think that's the only one on the list, you're going to like pwnable.kr, which is basically just pwnables. And then there's pwnable.tw when you get pretty good at it. But yeah, and finally, I'd recommend you learn binary exploitation, which is ASM. You might need it with the pwnables as well, so mash it together, there you go. But yeah, all of these everything I've spoken about will be in the description. It's just a really brief video to just give you some context or something to learn about, like something to study, just in case you're completely stumped on ideas. But yeah, there you go. Let me know how I did. Maybe let me know if you want me to go into more depth behind anything I've said. Just give me a comment. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching.